unemployment is on the decline, signifying progress in job creation and workforce participation, providing more opportunities for the local population. The prices for fuel and electricity had an upward pressure on the general inflation rate. The Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin has projected that inflation will reach a level of 3.7% for 2023, following a decline to 2.2% in 2024. Over the medium term, inflationary pressures are expected to stabilize around 2%. This decrease in inflation indicates improved economic stability and purchasing power for consumers. However, it is essential to address the recent decrease in GDP after an initial upward trend, as well as to continue monitoring economic indicators to sustain growth in the long term. This decrease can be attributed to an increase in imports of goods and services from both the public and private sectors. Notably, trust fund related imports have played a role in this trend as the country aims to catch up on construction delays, specifically in projects like the Princess Juliana International Airport expansion and the St. Martin General Hospital. This increase in the economic outlook is due to an increase in activity in hotels and restaurants, transport, storage and communication, real estate, renting and business activity, and the construction sectors. While hotel room inventory will remain comparable to 2022, a slightly higher occupancy rate is expected in 2023. In addition to this, the short-term rental of alternative accommodation has also accelerated in 2023. As it pertains to cruise tourism, the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin expects that this will approach its pre-pandemic level. In the latest Article 4 staff report of the IMF, it shows that projected real GDP for 2023 has substantially recovered with a growth projection of approximately 3%. Over the medium term, growth will ease, with pre-hurricane output now expected to be achieved in 2024. This will also lead to an increase in income for the country for the coming years. Although we see an improvement in the financial situation of the country, the two main objectives in this regard of government are to better control finances by improving financial management, and secondly, to modernize its tax legislation laws and systems in order to generate more revenue, taking into consideration that the CFT is expecting to see surpluses starting from 2024. The latter is also driven by the fact that everyone wants an improvement in their standard of living.
Our economy is recovering well, and we are seeing a positive impact on the revenue of the country, with pre-Hurricane Irma output now finally expected to be achieved in 2024, leading to an increase in income for the country for the coming years, with expected surpluses in 2024. This for a great part due to government's commitment to sound financial management, to the measures as have been outlined in the reform measures and the financial injection through liquidity loans and the trust fund, but also due to a stable and consistent government, which will soon be a full governing term, due in part to the commitment of government, but also the support of this esteemed body, meaning the Parliament of St. Martin. But of course, we are not there yet. Although the outlook is positive, this has not yet trickled down to every single person in the street, every Jane and Joe in the street, as he said. So much remains to be done. It will take the continued effort of government, Parliament, the private sector, and the IGOs and NGOs, service clubs, and all the people of St. Martin, the entire village, to achieve, maintain, and sustain a brighter tomorrow for us all and for generations to come. Unquote. These are the words after the governor issued our program as we presented to him to share with the public of St. Martin. These were his words as co-governing with this government, as signing off together with us on our different projects and programs. And it is unfortunate, and I must use this platform to say this, the negativity that has been spouted from that same floor of Parliament just the day before. The negativity towards this government, the negativity towards individual ministers, which we see exacerbated by individuals within our community as well. Bullying can take place in all segments of society. And my opening statements spoke to positivity, spoke to ensuring that mental health is guarded, emotions, people are all ages can experience bullying. And I must say, what I'm seeing in St. Martin with the negativity guarded and guided towards individuals, including my person and others within this Council of Ministers, is unheard of in most other countries. Now, we survive a very difficult period in our history. We cannot forget that. We came off of a hurricane and then the COVID pandemic, which the entire world faced. And we are on our way to thrive once again. And yet, instead of focusing on those positivities, people see it fit to throw stones which can be considered libelous and slanderous with no regard for our laws. Some people tend to say St. Martin is not a real place. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. St. Martin is a real place, and we have laws, and we have ordinances, and there's also a law against libel and slander in our penal code. 223, 224, 25, 6, and 7. Do me a favor, read up on those laws, because the things we say, the things that come out of our mouths have impact. It can be building someone up, or it can be breaking someone down. We cannot, out of one side of our mouth, say that we want to build up the local man, but take the opportunity every time we can to break down the same local man. We are all local men and women here, doing our best to represent the people of St. Martin.
There was an employee that causes a storm, a Vromi employee that went to the Captain Rib Shack with some statements. Prior to that, there was an alleged sexual, a complaint of sexual harassment against this person. Can you tell me what measures were taken after the investigation conducted by PNO, and what exactly were the conclusions?
You want me to say that here on this forum?
Yes.
Well, I don't think
you don't have to go into details, Minister.
You asked me pure details just now.
No, there was an investigation. There was a complaint that was made public.
Correct.
What exactly was done? Based on what we know, the person was sent home for 2 weeks, and then everything went dead.
I can't say that a complaint was made public. I would say some people publicize it. That's a difference. As you know, in government, I'm going to use this example. In order to give somebody a warning letter, it has to go through the governor. PNO is the body is our HR. They're the body responsible for doing investigations, disciplinary measures, and all those things. Indeed, investigation was done, is being done to determine the way forward. I'm not going to comment any details on it on this platform. I just don't feel it's decent. But I want the general public to know that all steps and all measures have been taken to deal with this in the most serious way, to come to a conclusion then as to what the situation is and come out of it. The school was involved as well, student support services, all the different stakeholders that had to be involved in a potential situation like this have been consulted and are being consulted by PNO. But as a minister of Vromi, I have no investigative role where that is concerned. They have to draw their conclusions, present it to me, and also in the form of an advice on how to deal with a situation like this.
Mealtime rules. Don't serve yourself first. Do not eat with your mouth open. Don't rest your elbows on the table. Don't make noise when eating. Does not apply when enjoying KFC buckets. When we bucket together, we are as we really are.
SXM, your social and health insurance is SXM, your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to SXV.SX and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social and health insurances.
During the hurricane season, a potential tropical cyclone can produce rainfall that can cause flash flooding and rockfalls. Stay away from flood-prone areas during heavy rainfall, such as Jump Up Casino on Emma Plain Road in Phillipsburg, ATLH Road Roundabout, L.B. Scott Road from Emilio Wilson Park until Cake House Supermarket, Zaker's Gut from Petro Plus gas station until the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Welcalaken Road K Hill from Welcalaken Road Roundabout until the One-Tete Loke Roundabout, Beacon Hill Road from Sunset Bar and Grill until the beginning of White Sands Road, and Rhine Road, also known as Mullet Bay Road, after Sonesto Maho Beach Hotel to the entrance of Cooper Coy from the intersection of the University Drive until the intersection of Rio Grande. For more information on how you can keep yourself and your family safe this hurricane season, visit stmartingolf.org/hurricane. This public service announcement is brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
I told you I will tell you a little bit about my court case. The media wrote a few stories last week and of the proceedings. The proceedings were Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I must say they were reasonably within context, even though sometimes some critical parts were not correct, which could have led to an incorrect conclusion in this case. An example of that was the prosecutor requested a longer punishment for me. It's totally incorrect. In first instance, they requested a higher penalty than was requested this time around. So just to, I don't want to get into specifics right now, but just that we understand, they did not request a higher penalty for me. They requested a lower penalty for me. In deliberations with my lawyers, I agreed not to get into the specifics of this case out of respect for justice, for the three justices that have our case and are reviewing our case. I had hoped, though, that the journalists of the Daily Herald that sat there all day on Wednesday and heard the pleadings of the Attorney General and the pleadings of our lawyers, Peggy Ann Brandon and Mrs. Brenda Brooks, who, by the way, did an excellent job. There was no mention of them on Thursday. And basically what you saw were the pleadings and the opinion based on their fact findings of the case. That's what it was. Our story, or our presentation of evidence, which was overwhelming, was not spoken about. But it was unfortunate, though, that aspects like trias politica weren't addressed, as they were clearly trampled on during the trial by the Attorney General. On the advice of my lawyers, I ain't gonna delve into it, and I ain't gonna do that for now, because I might do it down the road yet after I had a better tete-a-tete with my lawyers on where we go. And that has to do because of politics. My verdict is not going to be given to me in 3 or 6 weeks. They have asked for 3 months to review my case file, review the overwhelming amount of evidence that we presented, that for one reason or the other, the Prosecutor General didn't see necessary to present. You know, if somebody gives a statement and you pick out one line out of that statement and one line out of another statement of somebody else, and you put that as one sentence, you get a different type of view of a situation. But let me just give you all 3 simple examples. I got a verbal approval of a minister to do something, and I did so. The Attorney General found that that was an honorantia, something among us, even though it was substantiated with an advice after the fact. And that the underlying documents showed what it was and what it went to. They just took what it went to and said, I falsified documents and I committed fraud. They did not take all the underlying documents to show that I had permission from the government to do such. So they didn't check nothing else. They didn't even look at the government or the heads of departments or ministries. No, they came straight to me because I was their target.
What we can't escape, however, is the continuous suffering of our people, what they are facing under this present National Alliance and United People's Party government that is supported by a very slim majority in Parliament. As we look back, unfortunately, the performance of this current government leaves very little to be proud of. Let me highlight a few of the shortfalls of this parliamentary year. In August 2022, I sounded the alarm and warned this sitting government to take action on the GB situation. I went so far as to declare that the issues facing GB were a matter of national security. This was a direct message to the government at the time, and this remains a threat today, not only to the GB employees, but the entire island. Today, we are seeing the results of improper actions and incompetence by this government and those in charge since the time of the cyber attack. While government should be focused on solving issues and running the country, it is putting efforts into deregistering citizens from the voters list, simply to prevent people from voting. I have to ask myself, how is the list being generated, and what is the criteria on who gets on the list and who is removed from the list? Is it true that government identified persons they believe wouldn't support them for this upcoming election? While government is fraudulently removing the sons and daughters of the soil from the voters' registration list, they should be focusing on all of the recommendations by the Ombudsman to eliminate corruption and rebuild trust and integrity. I remind all of us of the Transparency International report in 2015 that pointed out necessary improvements across government, and specifically the Ombudsman Office. However, this government has failed to take into account any recommendations from this institution. Why is this government intentionally ignoring the recommendations of the Ombudsman? For me, the answer is simple. It's about greed and corruption. And it is that greed and corruption that is destroying our economy. It is that greed and corruption that is destroying our children's future. It is that greed and corruption that is destroying the morale of not only our police force and justice workers, but all the civil servants. And it is that greed and corruption that is destroying the full potential of this beautiful island. So what must be done? We need a transparent and honest government working for all of St. Martin and not just the special friends. As members of Parliament, we should know to treat any allegations of misconduct and abuse of power very seriously instead of coming in and saving a minister. Let me reiterate, every government official should be expected at all times to act according to the highest standards of accountability, honesty, and integrity in carrying out his or her public duties. It is also the responsibility of each of us, whether we are sitting in government or outside of government, to hold every single representative here accountable. Never in my life did I think I would see a government celebrating destroying buildings with no concrete plans to rebuild or posing for projects like the hospital that will cost the St. Martin people significantly more money and fooling us that we should be proud of those accomplishments. But you know what, Mr. Chairman? The pain and concern that we are feeling now cannot compare to the joy that is coming after January 2024, when the people will have a new government that will definitely restore our hope for the future.
Mr. Chairman, we can't look back because, or we can look back. We can't change the past. We have to look ahead. Mr. Chairman, we all know for a fact that in order to manage a country properly, no matter who you are, no matter your educational background, Mr. Chairman, you need to have the necessary finances in place. Mr. Chairman, I was totally taken aback when I heard the issue of a letter written by State Secretary Alexander van Huffelen, and basically telling St. Martin government that the issue regards to the Enya situation, that our government have to carry a share of the money that was illegally taken out by Mr. Ansari. Mr. Chairman, the CFT was quite clear as to the problems it would create and continue to create for the government of St. Martin. But yet, the State Secretary, and I believe the support of our government, is saying that it has to be repaid, Mr. Chairman. Let me say this, if she's listening or if they're listening. That 600 million euros, they should take care of that themselves, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the person that took the money, Mr. Ansari, Mr. Chairman, he are very good friends with those in the U.S. As a matter of fact, the Visionary Prime Rutte, Mark Rutte, was in the U.S. some time ago, sitting down and talking with the President of the United States of America. So they're good pals, I would think, Mr. Chairman. So let them talk about how they're going to go after Mr. Ansari. Don't put it on us. It's not us. But we must repay it. So what kind of apology did they give us December the 19th and sometime this year from the King? What kind of apology was that? So, Chairman, they put aside 2.5 billion euros, not million, billion euros to assist Ukraine. And then Prime Minister Mark Rutte said, if they need more, they will get more. Mr. Chairman, but you're telling us that we have to pay 600 million, part of 600 million euros and more? Mr. Chairman, you are responsible for the pensioners, Mr. Chairman. Yes, you are. The Dutch, you are. Because the central bank should have been doing their job. You, who controls everything. Because you see who's at the head, is one of them, Mr. Chairman. You should know what's taking place because you were warned in the past what's going on. Mr. Chairman, Jan Henrik Clark, he said, if you want a friend, talking about us, Mr. Chairman, he said, we have no friends. If you want a friend, look in the mirror. That's where your friend is, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Chairman, in all the discussions are going on, nothing about debt cancellation, no. We have to pay. But what hurts me, Mr. Chairman, is that some of our people think that, yes, we have to pay. No, Mr. Chairman. No. We apologize, number one. And then, now, reparations is the next step, Mr. Chairman. But I'm saying this. If there are those who want to say it's their money, you can go ahead and say so. But I will not accept the fact that we have to pay those that owe us, Mr. Chairman.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your MySZV account today and enter the virtual office of SZV. Go to szv.sx and sign up now.
SZV, your social health insurances.
With you, the new Kentaco. A combination that will surprise the most curious palates. Combining the deliciousness of KFC chicken and the practicality of a taco. With a doubly delicious ergonomic shape. Wow! Compatible with all types of bites. New Kentaco. Enjoy a double breaded chicken breast with our secret recipe. Cheese, lettuce, and tomato. New Kentaco, the innovation that's in everyone's mouth.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to keep in mind to help keep you and your family safe. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, with the peak occurring between mid-August and late October. This hurricane season, be sure to put together a go bag. A disaster supply kit including a flashlight, batteries, cash, first aid and supplies, medications, and copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
The FDA today approving updated COVID booster shots to protect against new variants. Miguel Almaguer with more on when they may be available and who should get them.
Tonight's FDA authorization is a major step towards new booster shots. After the CDC meets Tuesday, vaccines from Moderna and Pfizer could go into arms by the end of the week. Drug makers say boosters should increase protective antibodies against the latest strains, including BA.286. The CDC says the mutation shows the ability to infect the protected and even those who've already had COVID, but it doesn't appear to be more severe.
What this booster will do is protect us against severe disease, hospitalization, and the data so far indicate that the booster is well matched to those strains.
Though national COVID cases are no longer tracked, some states are reporting a rise, though not a worrisome wave, in new infections. Hospitalizations are up nearly 16%, even though 97% of adults have some level of protective immunity.
I was extremely exhausted and just like bad congestion.
College senior Lou Maestri just caught the virus as she returned to school, just like many adults have at work and at large venues.
Last week, a lot of my classes were empty because a lot of kids were reporting that they were sick.
While the federal government will no longer pay for booster shots, most Americans will be covered by private insurance or Medicare. Local clinics are also expected to offer the roughly $120 shot for free. While many new infections are mild, tonight there is concern a winter wave could be near if Americans don't take precautions or get protection.